I tell people all the time, I'm constantly asking people, hey, you want to come on the podcast? And they're like, why? I don't have a story to tell. And I'm like, yes, you do. You're alive. You're a human being. You have lived X number of years on this earth. You have a story. And it's telling your story lets somebody else know that they're not alone. One. Two, it helps you process your story and understand that, no, you do have a story. And that helps you understand that you need to stop telling yourself you don't have a story, because you absolutely do. And that helps build confidence in yourself. Like, oh, I forgot that I experienced all those things that I experienced. And it gives you that, I'm trying to think of the word. It helps validate it in your own mind that, yeah, you do have a story. This is the Veritable Veteran Podcast, bringing truth and exposure to the struggles veterans and their families face post-military. Depression, anger, PTSD, suicide. Who am I? What do I do now? Hey guys, welcome back to the Veritable Veteran Podcast. This week I have Josh Mach. He is the host of the JMach Podcast. He was a Marine for about 4 years. He was a combat engineer. Josh, I'm glad you're here. We've already had a little bit of conversation before we started recording, and I'm enjoying getting to know you, and I'm hoping my audience can enjoy getting to know you as well. So why don't you just introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, thank you for having me. I have enjoyed our conversation already, and I think we probably should have recorded that, honestly.
We probably should have, yeah. I find that happens almost every time when I get someone on that we start talking and then we talk for 20 minutes or 30 minutes. And I'm like, man, I should have recorded the whole thing, but you know, it's okay.
We'll learn eventually.
I know, right? Eventually, maybe someday I'll just hit record and just as they pick up, I'll be like, hey, we're recording, by the way. So,
Yeah, and then that will be like your behind the scenes. So when you have a fan
right.
page, uh, yeah, it'll be the funding for your
Yeah,
future.
absolutely. You have to
I always,
subscribe to get all the behind the scenes footage.
thank you. That's what I was trying to say. I just couldn't get the words to come to my mouth.
Yeah.
I forgot your question already. So what did you start with?
Well, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about who you are and, kind of where you came from and how you ended up in the military and then what you're doing now.
Yeah, dude. So as you said, my name is Josh Mach. I go by JMach through the podcast and everything I'm doing out here. I grew up in a small town in Illinois. It was called Beecher, Illinois. Graduated with like 80 kids, one stoplight town, about 45 minutes south of Chicago. But whatever you think of Chicago, throw it out the window because it was country, cornfields, and I loved it. It was slow pace of life. Our traffic jam was a tractor going down the highway, so it was good. I always wanted to join the military, and it took me a while to do it. I believe that was because my dad was law enforcement and I always wanted to do a little bit more and then go into law enforcement and like follow in his footsteps. And my dad always wanted to be in the military. And we always watched John Wayne and Western movies and all that. So that's probably what was in the back of my mind that like really pushed me into joining the military. And then I eventually joined when I was 23 years old. So by the time I got to the fleet, I was already an old man. Um, and all of that. Am I going too fast? Did I
No,
skip
you're
something?
good. Nope, you're good.
Okay. And in order to join the Marine Corps, I lost 70 pounds in 6 months to enlist.
Wow.
And then like I lost another 20 in boot camp. And I
Wow.
was mad in boot camp because I thought I was going to be considered a fat body and get old camis to begin with and get out with new camis, but I wasn't. I just have like a self body, uh, what is it called? The body dysmorphia or
Yeah,
something where I
body dysmorphia, yeah.
yeah, I always think I'm
Just
the fat.
despise the way you look, even if you don't look bad. You just, like,
Yeah.
constantly hate how you look, yeah. Yep.
Even in my prime when I was decently yoked and all that, I still thought I was the fat one, you know? Never got rid of
It's
that
hard to
bullshit.
overcome that, especially when because I was always really small. When I joined the Marine Corps, I was like 135 pounds. I was about 5'7". I'm about 5'6" now, but it's my back has shrunk. My spine has decided to give up the ghost, and now I'm an inch shorter. But I was always just little. I was short, small. I actually gained almost 20 pounds in boot camp just from all the food that I was eating. And I mean, I know that, people talk about losing weight, and I gained 20 pounds. So I'm the complete opposite. But I get that. I was always, and even still, I find myself, I don't like being on the short side, but that's just how God made me. So I'm going to have to figure it out and get used to it.
For sure. Being short never really bothered me until I was around tall people. And
Yeah.
that is like, "Hey, you just look taller."
Yeah. Right.
It's all good.
So you had the weight loss in boot camp, which, again, it didn't hurt you like you thought it would. But was there we had a couple guys that had lost a bunch of weight, and they had, I mean, they kind of had their own issues, that came with that. Was there anything that kind of slowed you down, or, kind of held you back in boot camp, or was it just more mental?
It was 100% just mental, honestly. I mean, I always could have been in better shape. I could have done extra work. I coulda. But reflecting back, it was all mental. And it didn't help that one of my friends who was already in the Marine Corps wrote me a letter, and I chose to respond back truthfully. And it was just a bad idea. And I talked shit to him. So he ended up sending my letter back to the drill instructors, addressed to them, highlighting like, "Oh, I've only been IT'd X amount of times. None of it's been my fault so far. Fat ass Mac." See, that's where I really fucked up. I called myself a fat ass, and
Yeah.
then that's all I heard for like most of the time. The rest of the time in boot camp, and I got trained pretty hard for a long period of time for that, and it really started to affect my mental health for sure in there. But of course, in the moment, I felt like a bitch for complaining or like struggling mentally because that then it just made me feel like I was weak and I didn't belong there, and all that self-limiting belief and self-talk I had, I've never learned to talk positively and inspire myself. I'm like, "Oh, I always wanna do this, but I can't do that. That's not for me, that's for somebody else." But man, just like I'm starting to tell my kids, like, if you dream it, you can absolutely do it with just hard work and dedication. You have to do it.
Hmm.
But getting that
Especially
letter.
nowadays, I don't mean to interrupt. I'm just with your kids, just talking about how they, if you dream it, you can, with hard work, you can do it. And that's the key. Is everybody has these dreams, but nobody wants to put in the work. Nobody wants to, they see all these people on, social media, and on, they're seeing all these stars and these, people that have YouTube channels and all these, and they're like, "Oh, I can do that. I want to do that." But then they don't realize all the work that goes into it, or, you know, they want to be a professional athlete. It's like, okay, fine, but you got to work for it. And they don't see all the work that goes into it. And then when the work comes, that's when everybody's like, I don't like this. And they just kind of, they kind of peter out and give up. But, it's like, I tell my kids, like you said, it's like, if you want it, you have to work for it. And if you work for it, you can absolutely have it, but
But you
you
also
got to
have
put
to
in the work.
failure, and that's what I'm also like, my little nighttime story singing routine is like, I tell them, like, "You dream it, you can build it with hard work and dedication, but you have to be okay with failure and falling down and getting back up," because honestly, what did Wayne Gretzky, I believe he has a quote, like, "You miss 99 shots that you don't take, but you're also gonna miss 99 shots before you can make 1," but they don't always show the 99 missed, they start showing the ones you
Yeah.
make. You start
Yep.
making more because you missed even more.
Yep.
So, my mentality, I never learned or taught myself that it's okay to fail. I always took it as like, "Well, I'm just gonna fail anyway, so why even try?" And I never tried. But the more I break that mindset and that mentality and I continue to try, I don't even view a failure as a failure anymore. It's like, okay, that's a learning lesson. How can I improve? How can I make that area better next time moving forward? So it's all about getting back up and keep moving forward. But failure, it's okay to fail. It sucks. It hurts. It's not fun to fail, but it is okay to fail. And it's only a failure if you don't get back up. If you get back up and if you choose to get back up and keep moving forward, it's nothing but a learning lesson.
Yep. And that's, I mean, it's such a hard lesson for someone like me and you, to understand and to accept, because I excelled in a lot of areas. And I think it was more out of fear of failing than it was a desire to succeed. It was like, I want to succeed, and I was competitive, and I wanted to do the best. I wanted to be the best, but there was always that fear of failure just driving me, like that, just that rabid dog behind you chasing you. It's like, I'm not running because I want to run. I'm running because if I don't, I'm going to get eaten by this rabid dog, and it was like, the
Yeah.
motivation it was not the right motivation. And that once I realized that, and once I started realizing like it's the fear of failure that keeps driving me. It's like, okay, failing is not the end of the world. Like everybody fails, everybody screws up, everybody falls short. And the more you do it, the better you become at it. It's like the more you do it, the easier it gets, because it's like, oh yeah, I didn't make it to that, or I failed there. The first time it happens, it's like, well, that was terrible. The second time it happens, it's like, well, that wasn't, I mean, it happens. It was, it was bad. The third time, it's like, oh yeah, well, here we are again. But it's like, you just get used to it, and it's not a bad thing.
Right. But in the military, we have a legitimate fear of failure because failure equals death. What we're training for, if you fail, it's going to equate to death. And like that is something to be fearful for. However, when we transitioned out or even during in, we never were taught or learned that like you don't have to continue to live that way. That's like mission
Yeah.
critical life.
Yep.
Well, this.
It's 100% like it. It is such a hard mindset to let go of. Is like, I love that meme where he's in college, and he's like, and the professor's like, and what happens if we don't turn our paper in on time? And he goes, everybody dies. And he's like, oh no, you just get 10 points off your grade. Why would everybody die? And he's like, I just assumed because, failure means death, and it was like that mindset. It's just a silly comic, but it's like, it's an exaggeration, but it's true, because it's like, if I don't pass this class, or if I don't get this job, everybody's going to die. Everybody's relying on me. And it's like, in the civilian world, the consequences are 99% of the time, they are a lot less severe than they are in the military. So it's like, if you screw up or mess up, it's like, okay, well, don't do it again. And as in in the military, it's like, I'm going to take you out back and we're going to fight, or you're going to lose your rank, or someone's going to die. And it's, so that's one of those things that it's hard to let go of, but yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, but you think about it, starting in boot camp, every other word out of our mouth is kill. So we're trained to, and I understand the purpose and there's a great meaning
Mm-hmm.
for it to build
Yep.
us to do the things that we need to do. We also need to learn or be taught how to transition out of that. And in the civilian sector, I mean, I honestly I could take it back before the military. I always thought consequences were like life or death. Maybe that's because my dad was law enforcement and I saw that
Yep.
already. But as I'm learning now, as I'm 35, 36, dude, like I'm holding too much pressure on myself versus what society really is. I'm harder on myself than anything. Right? So
Yep.
if I had to become okay with failure, and maybe I'm ashamed, I'm not happy that I missed a house payment or this or that, but it's not like I missed a house payment, they're coming for my house, my life's over, my wife's gonna leave me, I have nowhere to live, that chaos. It's not like that. Like, yeah, it's almost is like, "Oh, you better pay me now," like a little smack on the wrist. Yes, but
And I think that's one thing that, especially with my kids, as you're talking to your daughter, which I get it. It's fine. I've got 6 kids. I don't care at all. Don't think I'm bothered by you having her there at all. I love that she's there. So with my kids though, like, if I snap, or I yell at them, or I get really mad and I say something that, was unnecessary or even hurtful to them, and they're like, oh, how could you, they don't even necessarily react in the way that I do. Like, I get really mad at myself for having what is generally a pretty normal human reaction to being overstimulated by 6 kids, right? Like, I'm sorry I lost my cool, but like, I will go and act like it's the end of the world, like I've ruined my children. And I come back in and I talk to them, and I'm like, really, I go in and I'm like, I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have talked to you that way. I shouldn't have reacted that way. And they're like, okay, I love you. And they're like, they're just, generally like, okay, yeah, daddy got mad. It's okay. and they're very graceful and gracious, and my wife is really gracious. And there are times, like, I don't think, obviously it's not okay to just go around blowing up on your kids, but I will drag myself through the mud like hard if this happens. And it's like, and my wife's like, that really wasn't that bad, babe. Like, it's, it's not the end of the world that you told them, that they need to quit doing what they're doing, and you said it in the way you said it, because sometimes they need to be told because they're kids and they just need to have boundaries and they need to be reminded of what they're doing is not okay. So it's the same thing as where we put all this pressure on ourselves to be perfect, in everything, and it's not realistic.
My
And
wife and I literally had, sorry for cutting you off. My
no,
wife
you're good.
exact talk yesterday, and I feel detrimental too. I think I have that all or nothing mentality, and so if I upset you one time, it's it. You're not gonna love me ever again, and that. And like I
Yep.
my kids are truly teaching me unconditional love because I will snap, I will blow up, and then I feel so bad about it, and I go in, apologize, like, "Hey, it wasn't right for me to treat you this way. I'm sorry, blah, 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 blah." And then they're like, "Dad, it's okay. We love you." And I'm like, you still
Yeah.
love me?
You love me?
Stop this now. And I harbor on that negativity all day, and they're already, like, laughing, loving on me, just wanting me to be present with them.
Yep. And I feel like I end up causing more damage by not allowing them to uh to forgive me and move on, because I'm like, you can't forgive me. I haven't even forgiven myself. So, it's not okay for you to forgive me yet. And they're over here like, I just want to play with the train set and I would love for you to play with me. And I'm like, but I'm still mad at myself. And they're like, I don't care. I just want to play with you. Like, come play tag with me. It's just, yeah. So I struggle with that, just dragging myself through the mud and not letting go and moving on like I should. So
I think I
it's,
strive to be perfect too much, and there's no chance of me ever being perfect, so, like, I hyper focus on the things I did wrong to prevent it from happening again while continuing to do it because I'm stuck in my head and not present with them. If I would just be
yes.
present like they are instead of disassociating and just playing the scenario over and over again in my head, I wouldn't be so hard on myself. At
Yep.
my wife's job, they use when there's a problem or an issue, they use that there's an opportunity. And so I'm trying to use the take that vocabulary and implement it into my life. So like I'm not using those harsh words that it's a problem or a struggle or something like that, but more that it's an opportunity for myself to grow. It makes it sound a lot less makes it a lot easier on myself, not as harsh.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And
my buddy told me yesterday, honestly, because I was hard on myself. And he's like, "Bro, if you wanna be hard on your kids this way, why are you hard on yourself this way?"
And
And
that's
I'm
a
like,
hard, it's hard to, because, my immediate reaction to that would be, well, I'm not my kids, and I need to be better than my kids because I'm raising my kids and I need to be, on a different level. And my wife would say the same thing. She's like, you don't expect this from anyone else, but you expect it from yourself.
"Yeah."
And it's like, yeah, but I'm supposed to be better. And it's like, why? And then I can't,
It's from my childhood, feeling
yeah,
that we didn't belong in the rooms or that we had to earn our right there, and that just constantly bracing ourselves for them to go away or not love us the way that we love them. And it's all stemmed from our childhood. You
yeah,
just gotta find it.
yeah. So I know and I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit here, not in a bad way, I don't think. But when I asked, what your MOS was and what branch you were in, you said you were in the Marines and you did about 4 years, but you never saw combat. And you said that very, it was like, you were trying to like just let me know, like, I don't worry, I don't have anything cool to tell you. I never saw combat, and it's kind of like you were. I'm trying to think of how to. You were like downplaying yourself before we even got into the conversation. And it was like,
Yeah.
I only did 4 years. I never saw combat, and why do you feel that way? Why do you feel, because like, it seemed like what I sensed was, and I could be wrong, but what I sensed was you're proud of what you did, but you feel like you didn't do enough and you don't deserve the credit other people get.
Okay. 100%. And I'm sure it also stems from us. Oh my gosh, look at your eyes in there. They're so tiny. Real quick, I wanna say thank you, even though you already said you don't mind. I appreciate you being so cool about it. But 2 things. 1, I honestly wouldn't care because I'm trying to I would care. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
act like I but I'm trying to show that you can still be professional and do things while still raising your kids and being there for them. And it doesn't have to be perfect, and kids can be seen and heard. They
Yes.
don't need to just be seen. Um, but to go back to your question, I feel like it's stemmed from, like, just being fat or you skinny, like, you hit them with the joke first. They're like, "Oh, I'm fat," because it lessens the blow if they do end up saying it because I belittled myself first. And for
Yeah.
a long time, up until my ayahuasca ceremony this past November, I struggled with feeling like a failure. I didn't complete my mission. I didn't do enough. And I also built up in my head when I tell somebody I was in the Marine Corps and I was a combat engineer and that their next question was, did you kill anybody? Did you go anywhere? And I have to say no. And I felt like I would just see the excitement dwindle out of their eyes. So I don't want credit for something I didn't do. And then I also was ashamed from it. I also have recently come into the mindset that I am blessed that God spared me and I never had to use what I was trained to do in real life because now I don't have to carry that heaviness with me as well. So, for a very long time, my mentality was telling you that to lessen the blow and let you already know off the bat, I don't got cool stories. I didn't do anything cool. I'm not necessarily worthy of being a veteran or anything like that. And now I'm working on saying it's because there's more veterans that did not see combat than there are veterans that have seen combat. And that's going to be my niche because obviously I didn't see it. So I can relate to the non combat people. But the thing is, I can also relate to the combat people and I can share stories and talk and have you listen to me. But yes, for a long time, it was detrimental to me. You're going to have an aerial birthday again? Okay, not if you don't let me do this podcast so I can get paid to pay for it. Yeah.
An aerial birthday.
She
That sounds
loves
like fun. Yeah.
Are you a mermaid? Yeah.
We got my 7-year-old. She was 6 when we got it, but we got her a mermaid tail blanket. So she like you crawl down inside of it and it turns your legs into like a mermaid tail, but it's a blanket that she curls up in every night. She
You got
loves
one?
that thing.
It's cool too.
Yeah.
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 Those things are awesome. She puts it
Yeah.
on and hops around the house in it too. So
Then her mermaid, one of my wife's coworkers with red hair, got
And
her
my
Mhm.
mom.
yes, got her a mermaid swimsuit with like it's like the full leg thing, the
Yeah.
mermaid taking off, so she's upset
Nice.
with that.
That's awesome.
So excited. I don't need pants with that.
Right, you got your mermaid top.
But I don't need pants with it.
People are hearing you talk about not needing pants, girl.
I don't need pants.
She's
That is the marine in
like,
you.
yeah, but I don't need them, so it's fine.
Perfect. Can I take a couple more minutes, please? Okay. Did I answer your question about the mindset?
But
Yes,
Dad,
no, and I appreciate that mindset because I've had several people, I had said something on a video. I don't even remember what it was. It was a video of a guy jumping over a wadi or trying to jump over a wadi in Afghanistan, and he doesn't make it. He jumps and lands right in the water, and I paused it like right before he jumps, and I was like, if you don't know what's about to happen, I seriously question whether or not you ever deployed to Afghanistan. And it wasn't a dig at anybody that didn't deploy. It was just like, if you did deploy and you see this, you know exactly what's going to happen. And if you say you know what's going to happen, but you don't know, I question whether or not you were there, because everybody who was there experienced that at some point. If they were walking through those fields, you got to jump these wadis. You're never going to make it. They're like 8 feet across, and you're not going to be able to jump that wearing full combat gear. So this one guy got on there and he was like, yeah, I guess it's unfortunate that I never deployed. Okay. And I was like, or he said something and I was like, no, that's not unfortunate. That's a blessing that you never had to do it. And I explained, I was like, I wasn't trying to dig at anybody that didn't deploy. It was just, like if you did, you know exactly what's about to happen, and it's not even everybody who deployed. It's just anybody who ended up having to try to jump over these giant irrigation ditches that you couldn't take bridges across because the bridges had IEDs on them. So you had to either jump it or jump into it, walk across it, and then climb out the other side. So, but
it was
it's,
just a hurt person feeling
yeah,
triggered by your
yep,
response. right? And
Yep.
then when you come back and empathize, if that was me and you came back and empathize with me, like I would want to believe what you're saying, but then I'm like, yeah, but that's because he's cool. He's done it and he's just trying to make me feel better. But deep down, he really thinks I'm a little bitch because I didn't do it. You know what I mean? And that is one of my greatest opportunities is to break out of that mindset and that belief pattern. Because so what? My number wasn't called. Like I can't help it, right? And I'm just trying
But
to heal.
but I'm telling you right now, like I got to deploy and see combat. And it's not like I say it like it, I was one of the ones that did go and deploy and see combat. And I still sit there and think I didn't do enough. I wish I could have done more. And there's other people that did more than me and they're better than me. And that's not true. Like it's not true that they're better. It just means that they did something different and they had a different hand to play. They got dealt a different hand and that's it. And that's one of
Yeah.
my biggest struggles is working through that. And like you said, it's an opportunity to work through that and develop a new mindset and realize that I played the hand I was dealt. I did what I was asked to do. And that's all I can do. I can't go back and change it. And dwelling on it does absolutely nothing but make things worse. And
I love
it's,
that you brought that up because we have completely opposite military experiences, right? We have the same feelings and emotions. So we got to take our ego and pride out of the way. And because you have combat experience and feel like you didn't do enough, now I feel less than because I don't have combat experience. I feel like I didn't do enough. And just fucking recognize we're all people. We're honestly just
yes.
hurt little children trying to heal. And but no matter our experiences, our emotions and feelings are the same. And that's what connects us and keeps us human,
Yep.
right? So
And that's what when I first started my page back in 2018, it was right after a sergeant major that I had served with had committed suicide. He got out of the Marine Corps and like 6 months later he killed himself. And it was a huge shock because he already had a nonprofit that he'd been working on while he was in the Marine Corps and he was like pouring himself into it. He had retired. He had done like 30 years. He'd been in Desert Storm. He'd been in Afghanistan. He'd been in Iraq. He had done all these things. And as soon as he got out, he killed himself. And I was like, that doesn't make any sense. Like he got to do all the things that I wish that I could have done and more. He did like 30 years in the Marine Corps or close to it. And he was helping people and all this stuff. And he still, ended his own life. And it was like, if he's feeling that way and I'm feeling this way, who else is feeling this way? And I was like, I told my wife, I was like, and I've told this story before, but I was like, I want to help, but I don't know how. And she goes, start a Facebook page. And I was like, okay. And that was it. And I just started it and I just posted a couple of videos of just being like, hey, does anybody else feel this way? And then people started responding with, yeah, like, and I mean, I posted a video, the first serious video that I ever posted that went viral was just me sitting in the car. And I was explaining how getting out of the military isn't all that great, isn't all that it's cracked up to be. Everybody assumes like, oh, it's all freedom and I'm finally free from everything and I get to go home and everything's going to be the way it was before I left and it's going to be awesome. And I was like, it's not like that. Like it sucks. Like you're jumping off of a freight train that's moving at 100 miles an hour and like you hit the ground hard and it hurts. And then you got to try and like, figure life out all over again. And it is a mess. And I got hundreds of messages. Like even now that I have like a much more massive following than I did then, I got more messages in that first week than I've ever gotten. And these people were like, thank you. Like I feel exactly the same way and no one is talking about this. And there's a lot of people talking about it now, but back then there really wasn't a whole lot of people that were talking about it. And it was like, man, someone finally said it. And I was like, okay, good. I'm not the only one. Cause I thought I was just going to get hated on. People were gonna be like, you just suck at life, dude. Like you're just dumb and you're weak and you just suck. And I was like, all right, I was willing to put myself out there and just kind of be like, well, maybe somebody will respond. And I got like gained like 20,000 followers in like 2 weeks, and then got like hundreds of messages from people, and they were like, dude, yes. It was like, oh, okay, I'm not the only one.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it is actually, we do get all that freedom, but we forget about the responsibility that comes with all those freedoms. So now we're drowning in all the freedom we couldn't wait to have, but it's coming with the responsibility that we weren't trained or learned how to handle yet. On top of, you pour your life and soul, no matter if it's 4 years or 30 years, into the military, and now you get out and you take that uniform off, in the first couple weeks may be great, but then you start losing that purpose, that sense of pride, and if you're not holding yourself to the same standards and routines, you're just gonna slip off and, like, fall into a downward spiral, and that's what led me starting my platform as well, man. I got tagged in that 22 push-up a day challenge, but I
Mm-hmm.
just had shoulder surgery, and I didn't do the proper therapy, and there's no way I could do a push-up, let alone 22. But it was eating me up for a couple of days, like I was, again, failing. I was letting my community down. There's something I can do to make a difference, but I can't even do these push-ups to help. The next day after that, my buddy posted a meme saying, "Stop doing the push-ups, pick up the phone, and call your buddy." And I was like, "Ooh, light bulb idea." However, at the time, due to lack of self-belief in myself, I was like, "Nobody wants to hear me talk. I can't do this." So I pitched it to a couple other people and they turned it down. Then I was sitting in therapy and I told my therapist about it, and she's like, "Do you have your phone on you?" And I said, "Yeah." She's like, "Can you pull it out, go on Facebook?" She wanted me to go live right then and there, telling everybody what I was about to start. I was like, "Now you're the crazy one. Let's switch
Yeah.
chairs." However, I went home and started and made a video and started the podcast like I said I was going to. And now I'm like 5 years into this, and I don't have the numbers you have, but like the impact I'm making, and like just, I feel something that I can't see. I can feel the impact, I just don't see it. And it's like a hard thing for my brain to comprehend that I am being successful. I am successful. I just view it at the wrong ways.
Yes. And dude, I'm telling you, I go through that every single day, and it's like, I can't even imagine that people that have 10 times the following that I have, don't feel the same way, because it's so common for me. I wake up and I'm like, what am I doing? It's like, I'm here, I'm home. I have nothing to complain about in my life right now. I'm home with my kids. I'm home with my wife. I don't have to clock into a job. I don't have all the stressors of like a normal 9 to 5. I'm not rich. I'm not well off, but we're content with where we are. So like, I don't have anything to complain about, right? Yet I still sit around sometimes and I'm like, I just feel like I'm not doing anything. And my wife's like, you're literally raising an entire tribe of 6 children. You're being a good husband. You're building a platform that helps people, and you're providing for your family while doing it. Like, what more do you want to do? And I'm like, I don't know. But like, part of me still wants to do something, like, and I know that comes down to the fact that I was a Marine and I was a cop for a while, and I used to run around and do crazy things for a living. And now I'm not doing those things. And my brain is wired to like, it's seeking that next adrenaline rush, that next dopamine rush. And I'm like, I'm not getting it. But, and then I'll get an email, or I'll get a message, or I'll talk to somebody like the guy that he gave me it's a Till Valhalla bracelet, but it just says keep effing going. Right. And he gave it to me at the Vet Fest in New Hampshire. And he was like, dude, I'm telling you right now, the only reason I'm alive is because of one of your videos. And he's like, I was in the woods and I had everything planned out, and I was just doom scrolling just to numb my mind before I went and ended my life. And I came across one of your videos and I watched it, and I just broke down and wept. And I ended up going home instead of going through with what I planned. And he came and told me this, and I'm just standing there like, how do I even respond to that? I'm humbled that God would use me in such a way to help somebody, and that's why I wear this bracelet every day. because it's like, he's like, if you ever feel like you're not making a difference, just know that you saved me. And then I've had other people tell me, like, your videos have really helped pull me out of, a dark place, and just things like that. And it's like, the impact you're having, and I'm telling this to you, like, the impact you're having, you won't always see it, but there will come times when you do. And man, when it does, it's really encouraging. But you're still going to have the days when you're like, I don't feel like I'm doing anything. And that's normal, completely normal. I mean, and it's frustrating, but it's normal for me. And from what I'm hearing, it's normal for you. And it's just one of those things where it's like, you don't see results after going to the gym for one day. You see results after going for 6 months consistently, and that's the hard part, is the stuff you can't see.
Right. And I agree with everything you say, and I want to challenge the part where you say it's normal. Are we just accepting that it's normal? And we have ways and opportunities to be able to no longer think that way? Or is it just genuinely normal and it's a human life thought process that we'll always have with us, but we got to learn to tune it out more and think like, what could go right? What is going right? I don't know about you, but I do know that my first instinct is to think like, what could go wrong? What is going wrong? And things like that. And I want to shift that to like, what's going right? Maybe I need to practice more gratitude from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to bed, and continue, as we were talking about off areas, like fake it till you make it. Fake motivation is real motivation. And eventually it'll become genuine and I'll believe it. But is it because I was thinking too negative for too long? And so now that's where my thought pattern is. And that's why it's normal, because I don't want my normal to be feeling this way. And maybe that's why nothing's ever good enough for me, because I'm not happy. I'm just not happy. I try to be happy. I force myself to be happy. But after the camera comes off, it's not happy all the time. And I try to show that on air, but that's also still a version of me that still feels a little insecure, even though I'm the one out there talking about emotions and feelings and traumas and all of this. But I want to get to a point where my normal is happy and self-belief.
Yeah. Uh, it's interesting that, you're talking about all this stuff, because it's been, the last couple days for me have just been kind of this odd, like, I've been irritable and kind of depressed almost. And just, I try and be as honest as I can and open with people, when they talk to me, because it's just, I, I don't want to be fake and put on a mask. There's times that you have to put on a mask and you have to put up a strong front and you have to just kind of push your way through it. But if you're always doing that and you're never letting your guard down and letting someone know, like, no, I'm actually like really tired and I'm really depressed right now. And if you're not ever finding someone that you can talk to about that, it's gonna destroy you, but it's also just letting other people know that, like, it's okay to be worn out, to be tired, and to be just like, "Ugh, I don't have it today," and saying that is okay. And just, it comes back to just the stigma of mental health. And, it's like, you have good days and you have bad days. And some people have a lot of bad days and then, maybe not as many good days, but growing and, maturing and understanding, learning yourself and learning the ways you think and learning what triggers you to feel that way. And it's not focusing on the negative. It's just learning yourself. It's just self-realization and being able to, like, look at yourself and go, I'm feeling this way because I'm hungry, I'm alone, I'm tired, and I'm just, X, Y, and Z, whatever it is. And being able to say, this is why I'm feeling this way. So now I need to take these steps to stop feeling this way. And people just want to feel good, right? They just want to be happy. They just want to be joyful. It's like, you don't just get to wake up and be that way. Like, I would say almost no one on planet Earth can just wake up and be happy all the time. Like, there's always going to be something that's happening that could cause you to be in a bad mood or to be negative. But there's also all these things that can help us be positive. We just choose not to focus on them. And that's where
Yep.
the
Structure.
process of what's that?
Go ahead.
Oh, it's just that process of choosing to focus on gratitude and choosing to focus on the good things. And and it's not like you said, I mean, it's not just faking it. It's like it's changing your mindset and just being like, okay, I'm not going to focus on all the bad things that happened today. I'm going to focus on the good things. And it's it is intentionality is what it comes down to, of being intentionally focused on the good things.
And recognizing that everything really is our choice. So I wake up and choose to think negatively. I'm not uh, for a long time, and even to this day, sometimes I'm not actively aware I'm choosing it because it's just been so natural for so long that
Yes.
it's a choice that is like muscle memory. And like if we keep those routines and structures we built in the military, even to the point of making your bed every morning, like that's a small win that we need to start our day with. That it's a psychological thing more than it is a discipline thing. But I want to say thank you for sharing that about your past couple of days because my past couple of weeks I've been that way. And then I got
Yeah.
sick. I got like super sick and it destroyed my mental health. I felt terrible. I felt lost. I felt like I don't know if this ever makes sense to you, but I felt like my eyes were pinned down where I was almost like this all the time, but I wasn't.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
felt like, that's the most accurate way I can describe it. Um, but I think I'm on the other side of that depression slide where I was pulling myself out. I have to be because there's no way I would be on this podcast with you right now if I was still
Yeah.
because
Yep.
I did everything I preached not to do. I allowed myself to self isolate, where I just shut down and stayed to myself to even the point where I turned off my phone for 4 days and I didn't tell anybody. I didn't respond to anything. I still haven't even started posting again. And I just shut off to the world. And that's not what you're supposed to do. I mean, I do think that's healthy, and there's a way I need to implement that moving forward where I really do just get disconnect from my phone and all that and just focus on being present, but not in such a harsh way where I have things set up where things are still posting for me and I'm still doing my routine and structure. I just not doing it day by day.
And I think
And
there's a difference between disconnecting and isolating. I think disconnecting is like a positive choice of like, I'm going to turn my phone off because I don't need all the negative uh, incoming information. And I'm going to allow myself to be present with my family or even just present with myself. Like, I'm just going to go off and be by myself intentionally, like shutting out all the negative and the noise for a little bit so I can focus on me and kind of figure out where my head's at, or focus on my family and figure out what's going on with them, as opposed to I don't want to talk to anybody, so I'm going to shut my phone off so nobody can reach me. Like, I think there's a big difference in those two things. Like, one is like intentional, like I'm going to disconnect, I'm going to take some time off, I'm going to step away for a little bit. And this is I'm going to go hide in my closet and like not let anybody speak to me because I don't want to talk to anyone. And I think there's a big, yeah, you're right. Cause like you said, there's a difference, and it's just helping people understand that difference and understanding it for yourself too.
absolutely. And you're right. But I did do the bad version of it. I
Mm-hmm.
chose
Yep.
to
Oh,
just hide
yeah.
myself. And what I really need to do now is to speak about it and just come out and admit that, like, look, I preached not to do this and I still did it. And I just want to show that, like, dude, I'm still human. I'm still learning. I have emotions right now. And like, if I can get these tears to come out, I'm going to let them because I preach that it's okay for everyone to cry, especially men. Men need to cry. Except for me, I hold myself at a higher standard where I cannot be the one to cry because I need to be the one to show the emotions. I need to be the one to suck it all up and just get through it. But sucking it all up is killing me mentally, emotionally, and physically. It's causing knots and pains in my necks and shoulders and all that. And I don't know why, but I'm feeling really called right now to share that. Like, this mindset shift I had, it's something I've strived for, but I was never able to work on it up until I went through my 3-day ayahuasca ceremony last November, and I purged out my depression cloud, where I literally felt it come up and out, and I felt 30 pounds lighter afterwards, like, literally felt lighter, and it allowed me to view things not so negative right away. It was like that dark, that dark depression cloud that they say follows you around.
Hmm.
I fucking carried that shit for years, if not decades. And when I finally purged it out, it's super bright outside and color's color again. I don't know if you've ever been through it or not, but like life just used to be dull. Like it was a cloudy day all the time, no matter how bright the sun was. And then now, since I purged that out, it's like, oh shoot, I do need sunglasses now. It's too bright out here. Like, oh, the sky is a blue. It is
Yeah.
blue and beautiful, and the grass is green, and the birds are chirping. I can like see all that again, dude. But it's taken a lot of hard work and psychedelic assisted therapy for me, for my journey to get to where I'm at today.
It's interesting because I know that if you've been following the news, I don't know if you've seen it, but that Trump signed that executive order kind of speeding up the process to get FDA approval for ibogaine, so they can start using ibogaine in psychedelic therapies, and just trying to. And this is one of those things that I personally have not done it. I've talked to several people that have, and they said that it did wonders for them. It helped them. It basically changed their lives. Guys that did psychedelic therapy, either through ketamine, ibogaine, mushrooms, or ayahuasca, they've all kind of done. I've talked to several different people that have done it in different ways, and it's had a really good effect for them. And the issue is there's a lot of medical and legal red tape that people have to, kind of fight through to get even be able to look at possibly doing this. And it's frustrating. I'm glad that, Trump signed this because again, I'm not just in full disclosure. I don't know where I stand on psychedelics just personally. And it's not like I'm not judging anybody that's done it. I've talked to guys that have done it. They said it saved their lives. And I'm like, awesome. I'm glad that it worked for you. People have asked me like, am I going to do it? And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if I need to. I don't know that I want to. Um, and I'm still looking into it, but I'm glad that other people are starting to look at different things besides just pharmaceutical pills and trying to figure out different ways to heal. And it's like the psychedelics are the best way I've had it described was by Kat. She's been on the show a couple times. She's married to Aaron, and she explained that it's like you're sledding down a hill, right? Your mind it's the snow, right? And you keep going down the same path over and over and over and over and over again. You build a rut, right? And that's the pathway in your brain that your mind and your thoughts are kind of stuck on. The the psychedelics allow you to pick up the sled and move to a new area. And oh, no, I'm sorry. She described it as basically what it is it's like a fresh coat of snow that will kind of cover the whole landscape. And she said the most important thing is picking up the sled and moving it and establishing a new neural pathway away from the old one that was leading you down all these negative, into these negative, coping mechanisms and negative thoughts and things like that. She's like, you've got to pick the sled up and move it to a new spot. And so she's like, it's not, it has a lot to do with neuroplasticity and developing these new neural pathways. And the key is, yes, the psychedelics to put down that key, that new coat of snow, but also moving the sled to a new pathway, a healthy pathway, and establishing that new healthy neural pathway. So it's really interesting. It's the science behind it to me is just absolutely fascinating. And I'm really looking forward to looking more into it. So when you said you did the ayahuasca, where did you do it and how did that work?
Dude, so I thought I was gonna have to leave the country to do it legally, legitimately, and all that, and then I found an organization called the Aya Mission. It's AYA Mission. They're out here in Arizona. It's a veteran-owned, the founder's a two-time Purple Heart recipient out of the Army, and he took me out to one of the ceremonies with them. They bring 22 veterans out there. In Arizona, it is legally protected under religious ceremonies. So we went to a ayahuasca church in Tucson, Arizona, and it was the most beneficial thing. I was scared to death to do it the entire time up until I did it. And then even the second night, I was scared to do it until I took the medicine and got the healing to start happening. and it's a lot cheaper than having to go out of country. It's here local in Arizona, but it's extremely beneficial. And to go on your back and forth, I think the reason I grew up with my dad was a cop, so even cannabis is the devil's lettuce and wrong. Now, I eventually started to get into cannabis after I got out of the Marine Corps because drinking just brought out my demons and devils, and I didn't want to be boring, and I just needed I thought I needed something. And cannabis is definitely a gateway drug. It was my gateway drug into healing, though. So you can take psychedelics and get an experience, but there's things that need to go into it. Like, you're not gonna get the healing you need if you're doing it out there by yourself. I don't recommend that or
Hmm.
suggest that whatsoever. The cool thing about the Aya mission is they do integration. So
Hmm.
we did work before we went to ceremony. We had integration talks after ceremony, and then after each ceremony, we had little group sessions and talks, and then after the whole ceremony process for, like, 3 months afterwards, we had, like, a meetup once a month or so to talk about the healing and the changes and all that. Hold on, my daughter.
No, you're good. No, that's awesome because and that's what Kat had said it was the follow up was extremely important. And I know that there has been times when guys have tried to do it on their own where they'll get some mushrooms or they'll go to, I've heard people going to Mexico and they're doing these things in these non-controlled environments and it's gone badly for them. Not all of them, but a couple of them have had bad experiences and they're like, I would never do that again.
There's a great documentary that's out there. It's called In Waves and War, and it's on Netflix if you haven't seen it yet. It follows 3 Navy SEALs, Marcus Capone, DJ Shipley, and Maddie. And the cool okay, what I got out of this is how similar we really are, even though our stories are the polar opposite. They have hundreds of combat deployments, tours, missions, all of that. I have 0. They go take ibogaine, which is similar to ayahuasca, but its own beast. And my takeaway from the video is that they went into the therapy thinking that they're gonna see all their dead friends, what they did in Iraq, Afghanistan, all of that. But what the medicine did, it took them all back to their childhood, how dad was angry and an asshole or yelled at them or this and that. And it brought them all back to their childhood traumas and feelings. And that's what makes us so relatable. You're right, I don't have military experience like they do, but I have those same emotions and traumas and feeling less thans and inadequate thoughts and all of that. And the medicine brings us back to our childhood because that's the core and everything we need to work on. And I'm sure they need to go back and they're eventually going to have to work on their military trauma that has been compounded on there as well. But how similar we truly are
Hmm.
because of not our they don't even have to be the same lived experiences, but our lived experiences as our own trigger the same emotions and feelings, and we all got them.
I think we all suffer from the same chronic condition called being a human being. Bandit, quiet down. Grief, dog. Nobody tuned in to listen to you. I mean, they probably like you better than me anyway, but geez. So I don't know about you guys. I really love dogs. My dogs are their friends, their pets. But to some people, dogs can really make a huge difference, especially when you go through a company like Guardian Angel Medical Service Dogs. Guardian Angel Medical Service Dogs is a nonprofit dedicated to empowering veterans and first responders and other individuals with disabilities by providing highly trained service dogs that help people regain independence and improve their quality of life. These service dogs are trained to assist with all kinds of things from PTSD to traumatic brain injury to mobility challenges and seizure and diabetic disorders and even hearing impairments. So these dogs they just change people's lives. And if you are in need of a dog or you feel like you could use one, go to Guardian Angel Medical Service Dogs and click on the apply for a dog tab and just see if you're even a good fit for one. Also, if you want to donate to assist in the training and housing and feeding and supplying of these dogs, go to Guardian Angel Medical Service Dogs and go to the monthly Paw Prints Club. Your donation enables these critical mission operations such as veterinary care, housing, food, professional training, constant communication with the disabled individuals before, during, and after matching them with a service dog, and continued support throughout the service dog's life, including training and veterinary assistance long after they've received the dog. So if you guys want to make a difference in veterans' lives, this is a great way to know that your money is being used in that way, and your gift can make a life-changing impact. And remember, together we can unleash the power to heal.
For sure.
And it sounds so cliche to say it, but it's like the biggest problem is we think we're alone in our feelings, and we feel like we're the only one feeling a certain way, when in reality there is, at any given time, probably a billion people feeling the same way. And it's
Absolutely.
just, and we have this, it's almost a prideful attitude of I'm the only one feeling this way. And it's like, no, you're not special. Like you're not the only one feeling that way. You're not the only one having those thoughts and, concerns and worries and feelings. It's just, we don't want to come together and admit it.
Yeah, it's our ego and
And
our pride.
yeah,
Because we don't wanna admit it because then it makes us feel weak because we see Johnny showing up on Instagram living his greatest life, but he's done things that I look up to.
yep,
But we don't see Johnny off Instagram, which is not
yeah,
gonna be 80% of his life where he's struggling, he's miserable, he's yelling at his kids, his wife, he's hates his life, X, Y, Z.
yep,
So that's the cool thing about this psychedelic assisted therapy is your whole purpose is to have like an ego death, as it's called, where you kill that ego and that pride. You go back inwards and you talk to for me, little Josh. I got to talk to little Josh, and I started to talk to him in the way I always talk, where it's like, you should be so proud of yourself. You should be like, no, motherfucker, you are proud of yourself. You're the reason I'm here right now because of you. And that gave me chills right now because like that's the type of talking I need to do to myself. But instead I belittle myself and I bring myself down. And it's all from my ego, my pride, as well as the lessons I learned as a child that I haven't broke out of yet.
yeah, yep. And yeah, it is a very, it's just, it's crazy to think how similar all of our stories are. And I'm talking people from all over the world, people from every walk of life, and it's, veterans have this mindset that nobody can understand them except another veteran. And I'm like, man, I'm telling you, some of the best people I've ever met have never set foot on a military base or in a, worn a military uniform. And if we can lay down our pride and our ego, like you said, and just talk to people like people, and talk to other men, and talk to other, if you're a woman, you're talking to another woman that's had just such similar experiences. And yes, there are things that we've done that other people won't understand. And I get that there's camaraderie there, and I get that there's, there's a rapport with other people that have done similar things. But if you're able to just put that aside for a little bit and talk to somebody as a human being and be like, hey, you know, what are some of the things that you struggle with? It's going to line up with the things you struggle with so much more closely than you'd ever think. And
Dude, we
it's,
just gotta show up for people that we want how we would want people to show up for us, and we just lead by that example and be that person. I've been told my tagline is, "How are you really doing?" But my first question to you is, "How are you doing?" And you're going to lie to me, and you're gonna
yeah,
say, "Good, okay," or my personal favorite, "Living the dream." Then I follow up with like, "How are you really doing?" And that's when the guard comes down and then they're like, "Oh, this sucks." So like, da 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 da. Or, I mean, some people still lie, or, some people are actually having a great day that day and like they're focused on that. So, but it's super important to just ask how somebody's really doing, but listen to what they're going to say. Don't just say it to say it. Say it and mean it and hear what they're saying.
yep. There's a picture that I saw that I think I shared it. I don't know if I did or not. But it was a picture of water running on a brick and water running on a sponge. And the water running on the brick it was listening. What was it? It was like listening to respond or listening to answer. And the other one was like listening to listen. And it was just absorbing what these people were saying. Like one, you're just like, you're hearing it and then you're like, okay, cool. Yeah, that sounds great. Bye. And then listening to truly respond is you're absorbing it and you're like thinking through it and you're like, okay, what are they really saying? because they're like, oh, I'm okay. You're like, doesn't sound like you're okay. It's like most of the time someone's like, oh, I'm good. Okay, cool. Have a nice day. But when you're actually like getting to know somebody and listening and truly like caring about that person, even if you don't know them, just taking a couple seconds and being like, hey, you seem like you're not doing as great as you say you're doing. Are you okay? And I mean, you asked that question, or like you said, how are you really doing? It's like you may get, you know, a lot more of an answer than you're quite ready for. But there's been several times that I've been blessed to have those conversations, and then people will say later, like, "Thank you for allowing me to just say that and to just express it." I didn't have to spend 3 hours with them. I didn't have to spend 30 minutes with them. It was just, I'm really struggling with my kids right now, and I'm tired, and I'm hungry, and it's like, okay, well, you know, I get it. I'm sorry. It sucks, but it's gonna be okay. And then it was maybe a 3 to 5 minute conversation. And then they're like, thank you for allowing me to express that. And you can just see the light come back in their eyes,
Yeah,
and
because
they're
that's
just
all we're
like, huh,
thinking about. That's
yeah,
all we're spiraling about, but we're not sharing with someone else. So it's just living rent free up here while destroying us. And you giving the time for somebody to just like let that out, it opens up space for them to solve that problem potentially on their own, right? But also, when somebody says okay, when we're having a conversation, I say how you're doing, you say okay, and then 30 things pop through your or 3 to 5 things pop through your brain that's not okay or that you actually want to say. But one, you probably don't know if that person's being genuine and actually wants to hear it, or if they're just giving you another custom and courtesy where they're saying it to greet you, but they don't actually give care. That's also something we gotta be careful about is like who we share what with, because we can't share
yes,
everything with everybody, even
no,
though I
you can't.
want, because some people are just saying it to get to like their real point and they're pretending to care. Other people are gonna use it against you. But like you just gotta find the people that you can trust and that are actually genuine and care. And I want to let you know I am that person. So if you ever need to call, talk, vent, cry, scream, bounce an idea, or anything, never
Yep.
hesitate to reach out.
Yeah, well,
Same. Absolutely. And that's, I appreciate that. And it's, I've met a lot of people, doing this and it's interesting because I'll get messages from people and they're like, hey, how are you doing? I know that you're always kind of putting stuff out there and encouraging people and, asking people how they're doing, but how are you doing? And there's been a couple times where I'm like, honestly, right now, not very great. I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm pissed. Like I'm depressed. I'm angry. Uh, but I appreciate you reaching out, and you reaching out, lets me know that I'm not alone and that people care, and then I've had some conversations with people that lasted for, just messenger conversations that lasted for a couple hours or even, a couple days where they would message a couple days later and just kind of follow up. And it's encouraging when you start getting, messages from people and they're just like, hey, I just want you to know that I'm thinking about you and I'm praying for you because I know that in your position, it seems like you're always asking everybody else how they're doing and nobody asks you how you're doing. So it's nice when that happens too. But
For sure.
it's and that's the driving force behind why I started doing this in the first place is just developing a community where people are able and willing to do that. Like, hey, and it doesn't have to be me. Like, I don't need any more people asking me how I'm doing. I have several people that ask me all the time, and that's fine. Go ask your friends, go ask your buddy that you haven't talked to in a while. Be like, hey, haven't talked to you in a while. Just want to see how you're doing. But be genuine about it and willing to just take a couple minutes and say, do you need to talk? What's going on? And honestly, not letting them slip by with a short, I'm good. Like, if you really care about that person, like lean into a little bit and be like, are you? Like, be honest with me. Like, let's be
No,
real for a minute. And
absolutely.
yeah. But again,
And
like to your point, you have to be careful who you share that with. And I get that. Like you absolutely have to be careful because I shared it with the wrong people and I ended up losing my job because of it. So I I encourage people to be open, but I'm also I completely understand that you cannot be open with everybody. And you shouldn't be. Some people do not deserve to hear that part of you, so
for sure. And if your gut's telling you something's off, it's most likely off. And I don't know how to say this, and I hope it doesn't come across like I'm complaining about it because I signed up to do this, but being that person for others or putting ourselves in the spotlight, I have recognized that it's fucking lonely out here, dude. I thought I was lonely before, but fuck, man, it's super lonely out here because there's plenty of content creators and people like that, but I don't feel like there's a lot of people in my niche doing exactly what I'm doing, or at
Hmm.
least I have access to talk to. So I just feel like I'm out here. Sometimes I feel like I'm just throwing darts at a wall, praying it hits the target. And uh, it's a lonely road out here, but I signed up for it again. And I'm okay with it. I just got to accept it and fully understand it, so I can continue to move forward and being the light.
Yeah. Well, and I think it helps finding people that you can surround yourself with and that you can talk to. Somebody that you have their phone number and you can call them on a, a Saturday morning or a Sunday night when you're like, man, I got to do this stuff tomorrow and I don't want to do any of it. And it's like, yeah, and it's someone who gets it. And I've got a couple people like that are in the content creator space that I'm able to kind of bounce ideas off of and just call and be like, dude, I posted a video and I've gotten more hate in the last 24 hours than I've ever gotten in my life. And then, and they're like, yeah, well, that happens, but are you okay? And then, I've even he reaches out to me all the time and he's like, hey, I noticed you're getting a lot of flack from a couple of those posts. Are you okay? And then I'll talk to him and, like the last time I was like, genuinely, I was like, no, I'm fine. Like, I think it's funny because I knew where I stood on this and I was 100% okay with catching flack for it because I'm like, I'm not going to change my position and I don't care what people think about it because that's just how it's going
No,
to be. But there
what's
are times when like I start getting a bunch of comments or messages and I get frustrated because I'm like, man, this is ridiculous. Like, why are y'all hating on me when all I said was, something that makes perfect sense to me, right? But obviously everybody has their own opinions. But it's nice having people that you can message and text and call and be like, hey, I need to talk through this because I feel like I'm losing my mind. So no, that's and the creator space, much like the veteran space, it seems like everybody's looking out for themselves you know and it's like they don't want to necessarily help you or look out for you because it's like, well, you're the competition. And it's like, I'm not competing against anybody. Yeah, I'm just trying to you know do the good that I'm called to do. And if our paths cross and we can help each other, I'll gladly help you. um it's just, I think we have to, again, it's an ego thing where everybody's like, well, I need to have more followers and I need to have more downloads and I need to have more likes and clicks. And it's like, we're all trying to help the same people. Why can't we just work together?
For sure, dude. I'm tired of like everybody recreating the wheel because they want like all the money or whatever it be. But like that's not solving anything. That's causing more division and keeping us divided. I'm about rebuilding the wheel with everything that's already there. No, we're not using that. Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I mean, we have a lot of tools. And if we can get people to work together, I feel like we could do a lot more good for the entire community and just for people in general. And it's just, if we can just stop, because there's a lot of, in the veteran community, you watch all these guys that are constantly fighting with each other and calling each other out and arguing and saying like, oh, they're a liar, or they're garbage. And it's like, or maybe we could just agree to disagree and maybe help each other out wherever we can. Like, you don't have to be best friends with everybody, but like, stop hating on everyone all the time.
Yeah, dude. I think social media is making it so much easier for the hate and that. And the fakeness of people, right? Because they'll show up
Yes.
one way online, but they ain't gonna show up that way in person. And then you know, it just goes
Yep.
back to having to lead by example and treating others the way that I want to be treated, which isn't always easy, especially when I'm in a bad mood. It's so easy to like lash out and be an asshole. And I hate to say this, but sometimes it feels good to be the asshole because a hurt person hurts people. And it's like, oh, I'm getting revenge. But really, I'm just causing more chaos in my own life, more problems in my own life, because eventually I'm gonna feel bad for what I said or what I did and things like that, when I could just be the bigger person in that moment where it's gonna hurt and it's gonna choke me up a little bit, but that's where it ends. It ends with me being your person, and then they can fucking spiral in their head how I was still able to smile or talk to them nicely after they lashed out or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, it's yeah. I don't think it's meant. Well, I know it's this life isn't meant to be done alone, no matter what you're doing. And you've got to find people to be able to be open with, and that's what I'm always encouraging people to find someone that they can talk to and be open and real and honest with. And it takes work because you have to also be open and honest because nobody's going to want to be open and honest with somebody who's like perfect all the time. Like, oh yeah, I'm fine. Like, do you have any issues? No, I'm perfect. I'm good. I don't have any problems at all. Like, I just poured my heart and soul out to you and you're going to sit here and tell me that you're perfect? Yeah, I'm not talking to you anymore. Like, that, yeah. So you've got to find the right people, but once you do, it you also have to kind of work to maintain that relationship of and being open and honest with them, and allowing them to be open and honest with you and allowing them to talk, and yeah, it's
For
tough
sure.
to build good relationships, but once you've got them, it makes a big difference in your life.
For sure. I also do believe that even we it sucks because it's very hard. I think we need to be aware of, like, what could happen or what the response is gonna be, but sometimes we do have to share with everybody because they need to hear it from us even though they're gonna come back to us, and, "My life's perfect, I don't have any problems here, my marriage is great, my wife and I, we have all the everything together all the time." But in reality, their life's just as miserable, or miserable is a harsh word. They're struggling just like I'm struggling. I just the testicular fortitude to come up and talk about it while they're trying to hide and pretend to be something they're not.
Right. Yep. Yeah. We were leading a life group, my wife and I, for singles. And it was really hard to get them to open up about anything. They would all just kind of sit there. It was like a bunch of single, like college age, young people. And we were still young in our marriage as well, but we were, older and we were married and we led this group of, a Bible study for singles. And it was so hard to get them to open up. I'd ask questions during the Bible study, like, what do you guys think about this? And they'd just sit there like, and I'm like, okay. Or I'd be like, what are you guys dealing with in life right now? And they'd just sit there, life's good. I'm like, you're lying. But then when I realized what I had to do was I would start the conversation with, I think this, and I would kind of go through my thoughts. And then I would just, you know, when I was able to share the fact that I didn't have all the answers, or I was like, hey, this confuses me. What do you guys think? Because I don't understand this. And they'd be like, oh, well, I think I understand it. And that would give them the courage to like speak up and be like, well, I have this idea. And it's like, cool, awesome. Or I was like, I'm struggling with this week. Like I'm not feeling good mentally. I've been depressed all week and I'm struggling to even be glad to be here on Sunday morning. I had to drag myself here. I don't want to be here. I didn't have time to prepare the lesson, and just being open and honest with them. And then they'd be like, yeah, I didn't want to come today either. And I was like, and I'd be like, why? And be like, well, I was up late studying for a test last night and I failed the test that I took on Friday and I got to retake it. And I'm sad because I might, whatever. And it's being open and honest and putting that out there first is what opened the door for everybody else to do it. But you got to have somebody who's willing to put themselves out there. And, it's a scary place because you're out there in front of everybody exposing, your
You need to
deep,
lead with your emotions and insecurities to get
yeah,
people to open up and share because
yep,
I, for the longest time, wanted to share, but I didn't think anybody wanted to hear it or anybody could relate to me, right? Nobody has my troubles. It's just me. I'm the one that's got this hard life. But the more I start to open up and share, the more I recognize everybody is feeling the same way or the type of way, or they have their own things to complain about. They're going through their own things. And the grumpy old man's a grumpy old man because he doesn't talk about his feelings or anything. He just tries to bottle it up and be the tough man. But in reality, in my eyes, that's the weak man. You wanna be
yeah,
grumpy on your porch the rest of your life, so be it, but that doesn't make you a strong man. The man that you're gonna make fun of because he's crying and talking about his emotions, that's the strong man because he's willing to work on himself. He's willing to work through these challenges that he has in his mind and let things out and express it and share that he isn't this perfect person or perfect version of a man, but that's exactly what a man is. You gotta lead
yeah.
by But I
It's
also think it's important to not just talk about your problems and sit there and dwell in the pity party,
yeah,
but you also have to take tangible actions and steps to improve yourself. If you keep coming, someone told me they have a 3 strike rule. I don't know if I can follow it as strict as them, but if you come to me 3 times with the same problem, you're not looking for a solution, you're just looking to complain, and I can no longer help you. You need help above what I'm able to provide for you, or you're just not there yet and not ready to, and I can't take on all that negativity onto me. But
yeah, yeah. That's a really good rule to have, especially when like somebody, people that are in like our position where people come to us with issues or they want to talk about things. Because I've had several people that I've had to just kind of not cut off, but I've had to just stop responding to them because all they want to do is complain. They're not here for an answer. They're not here for a solution. They just want to complain. And I'm like, well, I'm sorry you feel that way. I've offered everything that I have, to be able to offer you. Yeah. And it's like I would say that I'm here for you, but like I can't be because all you do is complain. So it's like, well, I hope you get hope things work out for you, basically. And it's like I don't want to just cut them off and leave them, you know, out to dry, but at some point you've got to be able to start working for yourself to get better and start taking steps to get better. And if you're
yeah, because
not,
at that point, you make
you're
me
just looking to complain.
yeah, and make me the enabler for you to live your miserable
Yes.
life because all you wanna do is talk about your problems, but you don't wanna take the steps or do the work to heal from it. And maybe healing is too hippity dippity or soft for your mentality, but I don't give a fuck, man up. Take these
Yeah.
words as a word, do the
Yep.
action that you need to do so you could show up for yourself. Because if you're not showing up for yourself, you're not showing up for the kids, your spouse, or whoever else you're claiming you're showing up for by being tough and hard. You're not showing up for them the way they need or the way you actually want or think you are.
Yep. And
Yeah. And
I
that's like the
love
whole
there. I was just gonna say that there's everybody talks about the World War II generation and how, well, they didn't come home and have all these problems and they didn't, whenever I start talking about issues and opening up and being honest. They're like, well, guys in World War II didn't open up and they never talked about it. They didn't cry and they didn't complain. Like, well, first of all, I'm not talking about crying and complaining. I'm just talking about being open and honest with each other and supporting each other and realizing you're not alone. So that's, number one. Number two, a lot, a lot of people that I've talked to that had grandparents or even parents that were World War II veterans say they were pretty miserable. And because
they
they
didn't have
never opened up about it, because they never talked to anyone, because they were like, I can't, because they can't handle what I went through or what I saw. And I have to keep it to myself because I have to be strong for them, which I understand that mindset. But don't sit there and hold these people on a pedestal because, well, they never said anything. They must have just been so strong and perfect that they didn't need any help. And I'm like, no, those people needed more help than probably anybody, but they just refused to get it and they just bottled it up. And again, you talk to these kids, or they're not kids anymore, they're adults, full grown adults, usually in their 60s and 70s now, whose dads were World War II veterans. And they're like, that guy was angry. He was just,
a
he was
drunk.
quiet, withdrawn. He was drunk. He was an asshole all the time. And that's not all, that's not everybody, but it's like, I've talked to a lot of people who were like, yeah, it was not,
They didn't
they
have
were
the
not
tools
okay.
how to do it. All they knew how to
Yeah.
do was drink and go to work and whatever else comes with drinking. I used to be a heavy drinker, and I say once you sign on that dotted line, you're a contractual alcoholic. Whether you drank before you got into the military, you're sure as hell gonna drink once you hit the fleet. It's the only escape that we thought was viable. That just
Yeah.
causes more problems. And then you
Yep.
get out of the military and you keep up that drinking, and all it does is cause problems for you. But we see it as like our only aid and solution, right? So I had to stop drinking, and do I miss it? Abso-fucking-lutely, I miss it. I don't miss it when I wake up after everybody else has been drinking and I'm not, like, sluggish and hating life like they are. That's when I love that I don't drink anymore.
Right.
Sometimes I get bored, I'm like, "Man, I just miss the partying and drinking days." But I had probably 30 minutes of fun wasted hundreds of dollars, woke up with depression, anger, resentment, ever. On top of now I have to drink even sooner because everything's coming back faster, or I'm hungover and now I need to drink to get it to like feel semi-normal again, right? But now we have tools and resources to help us where we don't have to drink away our problems. So we can't compare to World War II to first of all, I do feel each generation is inherently getting a little bit softer only because our parents are trying to provide us a better life than they had, which in return is going to make us softer because we're not going through the same challenges. Is this loud? Can you hear
Exactly.
it?
She's fine.
Okay.
No,
Yeah. So
and it's just the minds that they had back then were stronger because they did things that were hard. And I mean, I was looking it up last night. There's literally a portion of your brain. Hold on, let's see if I can find it. I was looking it up last night. I was watching something, and no, I don't want to do that. Take me to my tabs. See, this is what happens when I lose stuff. I can never find it again. Go back. And now it's not going to show up. Doggone it. There's a part of the brain that gets stronger the more you do hard things. And it literally builds resilience and toughness and tenacity. And like you said, parents are trying to give their kids a better life, an easier life. So instead of making them do hard things or just requiring them to do hard things because that's what had to be done to survive, they just, we let them do easier things, or we make things easier for them. And then that part of their brain becomes weaker. It's a muscle they don't use anymore. It would be like if everybody had wheelchairs and nobody walked, they would lose the ability to walk. And then we would look back on these generations like, oh, these people used to walk everywhere. It's like, yeah, that's because they had to. And now it's like, it's not that they're unable to be hard like that or to do those things. It's that portion of the brain has not been exercised to the level that it needs to be. And it's like, my dad asked me, I go running and I run with a pack on, and I have a 50-pound sandbag that I throw in there and I run with it. And my dad's like, why? I'm like, because I like doing hard things. Like I like putting myself in those positions where I'm like, I don't want to do this. And I'm like, well, I'm going to do it anyway. And it's beneficial for my mind. And I feel like it's just stretching that muscle and working that muscle that, if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably be mentally, worse off. But
yeah, you're fighting demons with that workout too.
Yeah.
You're draining you're draining yourself physically.
Daddy,
Go ahead. Speak some inspiration.
you're K-pop girl.
Oh, and we're K-pop girls over here.
Okay. All right.
But K-pop girls, they had to be resilient to keep showing up to fight those demons, which you could take as a mental health demon, right? Like,
right.
You're going to get attacked. You can have great days. You can have bad days, but you have to get attacked. But yeah, absolutely doing hard things is how we do hard things or stay ready, right? I think about the Chosen Frozen, and that if we had to do that now, we would be froze to death already. And
my word. Yeah.
Nobody would have survived or won the battle or whatever the way that we did back then today. And it's because we didn't have to go through that. Or like that old, I don't know about your dad, but my dad used to say he had to walk uphill both ways in a snowstorm barefoot, right? But because he had to do all that, he could handle a little bit more cold. Yes, baby.
Yep. It's just that, stretching and working that portion of your brain and the only way to stretch it and work it is by doing hard things. The only way to make it stronger is by doing stuff you don't want to do. So it's like, I don't want to do that. Well, then do it, because if you do it, it's going to make you better. And, so it's counterintuitive because you're like, well, I don't want to do that. It's like, well, guess what? That's the way you get better. So.
And I need to preach this to myself. So thanks for saying that. Like, if I want to be calm and chill at night and just hang out with the family, I need to do the hard work in the morning. I need to still continue to wake up at 4 a.m. I need to meditate. I need to journal. I need to work out. I need to make my content. I need to follow my structure and routine. I need to do that hard thing so I actually can have that easy life that I'm chasing for. I just got to continue to show up for myself.
Yep. And that's the thing that people don't get is showing up for yourself isn't selfish. It's showing up for yourself is preparing the way so you can show up for everybody else. And if you're not doing that, then you're not going to be there for anybody else.
Absolutely. Man.
But man, I've enjoyed
And
our conversation. I feel like, you have something else. Go ahead. No.
I do. I've enjoyed our conversation as well, and I feel like it kind of didn't go your traditional route that you told me we were gonna go. Uh,
It's nope.
I'm okay with
It's
that.
fine. I am 100% okay with how this has gone because it's been very real and very just honest and open. And I really appreciate that because a lot of people, even though that people share things, openly on our show, on this show pretty regularly, getting someone to talk like you have is difficult because most people are still, they're just starting to open up, and you have been very open and honest and real. And I appreciate that. And I know the audience will as well. So don't be upset that it didn't go, we had a plan. Again, my plan is like, there's a very loose framework on my show. And it's like, we're going to start here and we're going to eventually get here. And if we go all over God's creation in the middle, it's fine. So
Yeah, I love that. And I just wanted to circle back to how we said, like, we can't just sit in the negative and talk. We can't just talk about our problems. We need actionable responses and to work on a solution. And that's what I developed my show and my sandbox all around, right? Like, I want to hit on the traumas and the coping mechanisms. And if you want to share a war story or two, great. That is not the primary focus of this, though. The focus is to show what you experienced to make you relatable from childhood till now. But then what tools or actions have you taken or used to make your life better so you're not struggling as much or as severe? What helps you pull yourself out of it? What were your unhealthy and healthy coping mechanisms? What did you have to go through and learn to get you to show up the way you are today? Because I don't care if you're the janitor, I don't care if you're the CEO, anybody in between or around there. You have a struggle and you have a story to share, and we can learn from everybody. You could be a great person and I can take away great things to implement in my life. You could be a terrible person that I want to be nothing like, and I can still take away things to make my life better because I'm sure there's something you're going to say that I'll connect with. And I'm like, oh, I do that here, or I can relate to this there. So now let me take that and work it out so I can show up better for myself.
yep. I mean, yep. I tell people all the time, I'm constantly asking people, hey, you want to come on the podcast? And they're like, why? I don't have a story to tell. And I'm like, yes, you do. You're alive. You're a human being. You have lived X number of years on this earth. You have a story. And it's telling your story lets somebody else know that they're not alone. One. Two, it helps you process your story and understand that, no, you do have a story. And that helps you understand that you need to stop telling yourself you don't have a story because you absolutely do. And that helps build confidence in yourself. Like, oh, I forgot that I experienced all those things that I experienced. And it gives you that, I'm trying to think of the word. It helps validate it in your own mind that, yeah, you do have a story. Like, I had a guy, he did 20 years in the military and like 30 years as a cop. And he was like, I don't really have any stories to tell. I'm like, that bullshit. I'm sorry. You cannot be a cop for any longer than 6 months and not have some crazy stories. And you cannot be in the military for 20 years and not have some wild stories. So don't even, and we had a great conversation about it. He kind of laughed. He's like, I forgot about all that stuff. And I'm like, dude, I'm telling you, once you start talking about it, it's going to be hard to shut up because you're going to have so many stories. And every time you tell a story, it's going to remind you of another one. And it's going to remind you of another one. And then somebody who's listening is like, wow, I experienced something very similar to that. I'm not the only person. And that's where healing and growth begins.
Yeah, I believe it was Ezekiel from the Wounded Warrior program. He dropped a line and it hit with me that you sharing your story helps someone else break out of their prison and you'll never know about it. So like I come on here and I don't like to repeat my same misery thing or like that. I don't like to repeat that I'm struggling because I feel like I told you once, now I'm complaining. But I need to continue to break through that because people need to hear that, okay, like JMach, look at this great studio he's in. I still struggle. And this studio's a front, dog. It's like
Yeah.
like a tenth. It's like a tenth of what I'm looking at. The rest is a chaotic garage space that I have storage and kids'
Yep.
toys and all that everywhere else, right? So if you're somebody that needs like that external motivation to share your story, do it because you're going to save somebody else, and there's a good chance you'll never know. Or in 10 years from now, they're going to come up to you and be like, "Hey, bro, I just got to tell you thank you because I'm still here because you shared XYZ," and you may not even remember sharing it.
I had a guy that I served with. He messaged me the other day, and I know this guy. He messaged me and goes, "I don't know if you remember me," and I was like, "Really? Like, why would I not remember you? Like, that's crazy." And it was about 10 years ago, and he's like, "You pulled me aside and you said some things, and we talked." He's like, and I at the time I didn't realize how impactful it was, but man, that really changed my life. And it's like, and honestly, I don't even remember the conversation. I had a ton of conversations with a lot of people, but he's like, "You pulled me aside on the flight line and we sat down and we talked." And I was like, "We did?" It's like, it didn't impact me in the way that it impacted him. But like he said, he's like, it really changed my life, my outlook on life and what I was, the direction my life was going. So it's like, people, they underestimate themselves and underestimate the power of just sharing their story. And that's what I am always telling people. I'm trying to schedule somebody on the podcast here, and they're already like, "I just don't know if I have anything to talk about." I'm like, "Yes, you do. Come on." Like, it's just get over that little, self-deprecating, my life's boring. Like, no, it's not. No, it isn't. The only person it's boring to is probably you. So, just getting over that it's hard, but it's worth it.
There's a gentleman that he's a podcaster as well, and I've been trying to get him on my show, and he says the same exact things. Like, he doesn't have a story to share, like, he's this, he's that. But then I go over to his page, and now he's interviewing, like, professional athletes, celebrities, like, high-level veteran influencers, actors, and that. And I'm like, "Dude, you're doing better off than I am. How are you gonna tell me you don't have anything to share?"
Yeah.
You Kurt Warner or Rocco and all that. You don't even have a story about how that made you feel or what
Right.
that podcast was like, and then it makes me think like, "Oh, man, does he just not like me? Is there something wrong with my podcast?" And blah, 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 blah. Ah, but yeah, man, it's just wild.
Yeah. It's hard to get people to open up, but it's really neat when they do, and they start really sharing, and it's cool when they contact you later and they're like, "Hey, thank you for letting me do that, because that really, I didn't realize how much fun that would be, or how enlightening it would be and how empowering it would be just to share my story." And I'm like, "Hey, I told you." That's why we do it.
Absolutely. I
So
have 2 favorite things, and one's gonna circle us back to the beginning, but one is when, like, my leaders that I look up to, and I'm like, "Oh my god, they have the combat experience, the military experience, like, they're the ones." And they reach out to me like, "Dude, you're doing a great job. Thank you for what you're doing." And, like, they show support to me, and I'm like, "Dude, that means a lot." And then this part circles back to where I hit you with, like, I didn't see any combat, so I can crush you before you crush yourself or whatever, or I crush myself. However, I hide behind that. But I absolutely love when I talk to a combat veteran and they find out that I don't have any combat and they lose interest in me, just for them to circle back and start to love me because they can connect with what I'm saying, or I've inspired them and helped them. It's like
yep.
full circle. It's like,
Yeah.
"Fuck you, dude. I got you." Like, but technically, I'm probably not saying it to them as much as I'm literally saying "fuck you" to myself for thinking I'm inadequate or not enough. But look what I just did. I brought this combat veteran who used to look down on non-combat veterans to now view us as like equals to a degree, and things like that. So that's really cool.
It's a powerful shift when you're able to get somebody who is completely diametrically opposed to you, and then you get them to respect you and understand you're respecting them. And it's a really neat, it's really cool when that happens, when you find somebody who's just like has a certain opinion about you and you're able to change that just through being respectful and being empathetic and being real and honest with them. And then they realize, oh, maybe this person isn't as bad as I thought they were. And like, yeah, that's right. I'm not as bad as you thought I was.
It's cool, like, now reflecting back, I'm like, "Oh, man, I really have made an impact." Because some organizations, they started strictly combat veterans only, and now since I don't know if I'm trying to steal credit or assert credit for myself, But after interacting with me more, I've noticed them like lessen that. Like they still want to be for combat veterans because that's the niche they are. That's who they are. And I
Hmm.
respect and understand that. But how are you going to be about mental health and then tell a veteran just because he doesn't fit this one part of your niche, you can't help him? Why do you think veterans are going to the VA and parking lot and killing themselves?
Yep.
Because they just got denied or told. I've had experience with my VAs where I was told, "Why are you complaining? You still have both your knees." And then I literally walked in. I was a walk-in mental health, like I was breaking down and I needed to talk to somebody. When they finally brought me back down, he ended the conversation with, "I need you to recognize what you just did. Because you had this little breakdown, you had to pull me away from clients or patients that have had appointments and have been waiting months, and now I'm late because I had to deal with you." I'm like, "Are you trying to put me right back into that mess, like into that spiral, or what?" And I'm not saying that to bash the VA because I do think the VA is good and I do think the VA is bad. Just like every other organization out there in the world, you're going to have good apples and
Yep.
bad apples. And you're going to have good experiences and bad experiences. And it's up to you to force to fight for what's right for you as well as other people, but keep showing up for yourself and don't let someone else's negative comments weigh you down the way I have allowed it in the past.
Yep. No, it's good. And I mean, and I have to not let myself weigh myself down with my negative comments. And that's my biggest struggle is I other people's negative comments, generally I'm like, I don't care. And then I come along behind them and I'll say the same thing. And I'm like, ow, that hurt, and it's like, that dude over there said the same thing to you 2 days ago and you laughed at it. And now you're over here saying the same thing to yourself and you're eating it up, like, and just absorbing all of it. Like, oh, I am garbage. It's like, why?
Their negative comments don't affect me until it relates to how I already think or feel about myself.
Yeah.
When you start
Yep.
talking trap and I relate to it, then it hurts me. It's not hurting me
Yeah.
because it hurts me because I already feel that way about myself. And that's probably why I hit you with, "I'm not a combat veteran though," or "I am the fat one." Because let's be honest, we can both tell if I'm fat or not. And I feel so insecure about being fat. That's always on the top of my mind. And I don't want to show up as fat, even though I'm going to, because I'm not doing the work to not be fat. Right.
Yep. Yeah, that's a really good point to remember is, your words won't necessarily negatively impact somebody until you start saying what they're already feeling, or the same thing with you. It's like if they say something that triggers you, that's a sign that you're already feeling that way and you need to work on that, and if something triggers you, that's a flag. It's literally putting up a flag like, hey, well, we didn't like that. And then that's a point where you can stop, and that's an opportunity to stop and say, why don't I like that? Why did that affect me so much? Oh, maybe it's because I feel this way and I say these things to myself all the time. And now I hear Joe Schmo over here saying it, and that really pissed me off. Maybe I should stop saying it to myself all the time and stop believing it. That way, when he says it, I can be like, yeah, that's not true. But when he says it and it echoes what I'm saying, all of a sudden I'm like, how dare you? And I get really offended.
And then you just go deeper into that rabbit hole. And I think one huge thing I'm trying to work active currently as we're talking. I'm changing the way I'm speaking because I used to project out and I would say, "You need to do XYZ." But truthfully, I'm fucking talking to me. I can only give you that advice because that's exactly what I need to do. So I had to stop recognize using my triggers as like it's their fault and realizing that my triggers and traumas are not my fault, but they are my responsibility to heal from them and work on them. So you can't trigger me and I can't lash out and then blame you and be in that victim. It all comes back to the victim mindset for me, at least. When I'm able to recognize and call myself out for, "You're just being a victim. Oh, my wife's not having sex with me right now. My wife this, my wife that." It's not your wife's fault. You're playing an equal part in this. Yeah, she has work to do, but you have
Yep.
work to do first. And I need to stop pointing my fingers at everybody else and turn that knife hand on myself.
Yep. And we probably need to wrap up, here soon, but I would love to point to go off of what you just said about pointing the finger at yourself. everybody is so quick to point the finger at the VA or at their military experience or at their therapist or at their friend that betrayed them or at their boss that fired them or at whatever. It's always them, 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 them. And they're just constantly, pointing fingers. And it's like, when was the last time you stopped and did a very introspective look at yourself and said, what am I doing that's causing me harm? Like, what am I doing? And that's the same thing, like, with veterans in general. Everybody's always like, oh, everybody hates veterans. The government hates veterans. The VA hates veterans. And it's like, okay, let's take a look for a minute. What are we as a community doing to ourselves? How are we shooting ourselves in the foot here? And that's a question that a lot of veterans and a lot of veteran organizations don't want to answer. And they don't like the question because when you say that, they automatically assume, well, you just don't like veterans. Like, no, I actually love veterans and I'm trying to help all of us grow and grow into a healthier community. And that starts also with one, yes, fixing these people that are supposed to be helping us and working on that, but also realizing that they're human beings and it's an organization that is run by the government and the government sucks at running just about everything. So we need to accept that they're going to probably suck at this too, but also we need to look at ourselves and what are we doing to cause our own problems?
Dude, I think that's great. And it made me have this thought process is like, I hate on the VA because all they do is prescribe you medication. But now I got take a step back and think, what is the VA for? To prescribe you medicine and try to treat your symptom. And that is their version of helping you, is to prescribe you with medicines. Now we've learned that doesn't work all the time, or we need something different. So now I need to look at myself and see, am I doing the work? Am I going to an external source? Am I getting help in different areas that's not a prescription? And so I can stop blaming the VA for everything. I've been to civilian doctors where they'll prescribe me whatever I want to be prescribed as long as I tell them the right things. There's no difference with what the VA is doing. So just because it's the VA versus a private or a public pharmacy or doctors, there's no difference. That is their training. That is their pathway. They're not
that is their training.
Their left limiting beliefs because they're trained to prescribe you medication to heal things, right? Now it's up to us to recognize, okay, maybe that this medicine's not working and it's making things worse. What can I do? And instead of continuing to go back to the same VA, I have recognized that the VA offers so many more programs than I even know about, but I don't even speak up to learn about these things. So it is my fault. Yes, they prescribed me something and now I may have became addicted to it because they prescribed it. They didn't put it in my mouth. They didn't refill the prescription without me pressing the button or asking for it.
Yeah. Yep. And that's, that's a whole nother bucket of worms to get into is, being able to own our own problems and that as a community, not just ourselves. It starts with ourselves. It starts with us. It starts with me, owning myself and my own issues, but being able to, as a community, not get offended when somebody goes, we probably need to fix this, or we need to look at this, because it's not working, rather than being like, oh, you just hate veterans or you just don't care about veterans. Like, no, I actually do. I'm just trying to fix it in a way that doesn't match the current narrative. And that's,
And I hate that all or nothing mentality. Either you love veterans or you hate them. Because I'll tell you, sometimes I fucking hate veterans myself and I don't want to have to be around. I'm tired. When I started everything I'm doing, I was tired of being told that I could heal or be better, but I'll always have to be around a veteran. First of all, my wife and kids, they're not veterans. Second of all, like I just said, sometimes I hate veterans and I don't want to be around them because we're not all great people.
No.
And people have bad days and I don't even want to be around them on those days, right? There's nobody, civilian, veteran, first responder, whatever, that you want to be around 110% of the time because they're perfect in that. Like we have that.
I don't want to be around me 100% of the time.
Exactly. And I love my wife and all I want to do is be around her. But when I'm around her, I don't want to be around her all the damn time.
You're like, I need a break.
But hey, brother, I think it's a great time to wrap up because we're going to just keep.
I agree. I know. I said we'll talk all day long, so we'll have to do it again. But I'll have to come on your show, and then I'll have you back on. And maybe we'll try and hit some more specific topics. But I've really appreciated our conversation today. It's helped me, and I know it's going to help the people listening. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. That's what I'm all about. I love it. I love to challenge thought processes to improve you to do better, while not trying to beat you down because you're a piece of shit and have that problem. First of all, I probably have that problem too
Yeah.
myself, right?
Yep.
But I would encourage you to
99% of the stuff that I talk about and post and share is stuff that I need to hear, and it's
absolutely,
just, I'm posting it for me, but I'm posting it so you can see it too, because to let you know you're not alone, because I need to hear it. And, so yep,
absolutely.
it's
And my
mostly for me.
final remarks are thank you and to everybody listening for allowing me to bring my daughter in and out of this conversation while staying focused. And I want that to also inspire you to be able to do things that are challenging because I want to let you know I was ready to scream at her a couple of times, but since I'm on camera, I really tried not to. And but just continue to
Yep.
do it.
Yep. Well, I'm glad she was able to be there with you. I'm glad you're able to be there with her and, spend that time with her. I know it can be frustrating, but you're doing the right thing, and you're where you need to be. So as some,
Thank you, brother.
as weird as it feels sometimes, that's where you need to be, is with that little girl. So I'm glad you're able to be there with her. So, and thank you for coming on again, and we'll definitely have you back on. So,
I'll definitely have
but
you on my show, and it's been a pleasure. So
absolutely. Absolutely. You have a good rest of your day, and let your daughter know I said hi, and you have a beautiful daughter, by the way. So, and she was awesome. So,
thank you so much. Have a
all
great
right, we'll
day.
see you. Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Hey guys, quick reminder, if you enjoyed the episode today, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, go to whatever platform you listen to these podcasts on and leave a review. That's the best way to help us out. It gets a lot more traffic to us. So again, if you liked it, like, subscribe, and leave a review. All right, love you guys.